All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving into a really powerful way to think about human ability, and it all kicks off with one simple but really profound question.
So is ability a straight line? I mean, we usually think of it that way, right? You're either good at math or bad at it. But what if that's not the whole story? What if our talents are less like a neat straight line and more, well, more something else entirely?
And this visual just nails it. On the one hand, you have this idea of the average person, that smooth, even line. But the reality for most of us, it's that jagged, uneven line. Our abilities aren't a flat prairie, they're a mountain range, with these incredible high peaks of talent right next to some pretty deep valleys. That's the spiky profile.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, we need to zoom out a bit and talk about the big idea it comes from. It's called the neurodiversity paradigm, and it's a total game changer for how we think about our brains. So what is it? Well, it's a shift away from thinking about neurological differences, like autism or ADHD, as deficits or problems that need to be fixed. Instead, it sees them as just natural human diversity. It's about recognizing that these differences are not only normal, but incredibly valuable. It's not about fixing people, it's about understanding and frankly appreciating why these differences in people are so important.
And this quote from biologist Milton Diamond just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Nature loves variety, unfortunately society hates it. It perfectly captures that tension, that fundamental conflict. Our biology, our very nature, thrives on variation. But our schools, our workplaces, they often demand we all fit into the same box. And that mismatch, that's where so many of the struggles come from.
Okay, so how does this idea of natural variety actually look in the real world? This leads us right back to that powerful visual metaphor we started with, the spiky profile. Let's dig into what profoundly spiky really means. The key takeaway here is that someone can have these absolutely incredible, world-class strengths in some areas, while at the same time facing some really significant challenges in others. And that's not a bug, it's a feature. It's not a contradiction. It's just how a lot of brains are wired.
And get this, we're not talking about a tiny fraction of the population. Studies suggest that up to 1 in 5 people, that's 20%, are neurodivergent. So these spiky profiles aren't some rare anomaly. They are all around us. They're a huge, vital part of every single team, every classroom, every community we're in.
So let's make this more concrete. What does living with these spikes actually look like day to day? Let's check out a couple of examples.
Okay, a perfect example is the twice exceptional student. This is someone who is both incredibly gifted and has a learning disability or some other challenge. It's a classic spiky profile. And what happens is, sometimes their amazing talent hides their struggle. Or, just as often, the struggle completely overshadows their gift. Either way, they can become totally invisible in a system that's built for the average person. And this chart is super interesting because it shows us that giftedness isn't just about thinking faster. Highly gifted people actually think differently. They use something called meta-thinking. Instead of just following steps, they see the patterns between the steps. They can look at a ton of complex data and just see the big picture, the new framework. It's a kind of cognitive superpower, and it's where so much innovation comes from. Here's another great example, the visual spatial learner. These are the ultimate systems thinkers. They have to see the whole forest before any of the individual trees make sense. If you try to teach them with repetition and drills, it just doesn't work. But if you show them the whole picture first, let them form that mental map, they'll get it. And when they get it for good.
So, what happens when you're a spiky person living in a world built for smooth, straight lines? Well, there's a huge cost. And that cost is usually paid in energy.
This constant effort to compensate for your weaker areas or to hide your differences to fit in, it's called masking. And it is absolutely draining, mentally and emotionally. It can lead straight to burnout. There's actually a brilliant metaphor for understanding this invisible energy cost, and it's called spoon theory.
Yeah, spoon theory. It was created by Christine Miserandino, and it's a way to make that invisible effort totally visible. Here's how it works. Just imagine that you start every day with a limited number of spoons. Each spoon represents a unit of energy, and every single thing you do during the day costs you a certain number of spoons.
So you start the day with, say, 12 spoons. Just getting ready might cost 2. Now you're at 10. But then a noisy commute with bright lights and crowds? For someone with sensory sensitivities, that might cost a whopping 4 spoons. By the time you get to work, you're already down to 6. And a big team meeting could easily cost 5 more. Suddenly, you've got 1 spoon left for the rest of the day. And when the spoons are gone, they're gone. Your ability to function, to even do simple things, is just depleted. That leads to overwhelm, to shutdown.
Okay, so what do we do with this knowledge? This is the big question, right? How do we change the world to work better for everyone? Well, the answer isn't about trying to fix people or flatten out their spikes. The answer is to change the environment. It's to build a world that's actually designed for a mountain range, not a flat plain.
And this quote says it all. Inclusion means rethinking the environment, not the individual. This is the absolute core of it. We have to stop asking people to contort themselves to fit into a rigid system. The real work is asking, how can we change our systems, our workplaces, our schools, to support the incredible diversity of people that are already there?
So how do we do that? Well, one really powerful leadership model is called super leadership. It's all about moving away from that old top-down command and control style. Instead, the focus is on leading others to lead themselves. It's about how to empower individuals to help every single person use their unique gifts. The goal is to turn everyone into a knowledge leader in their own area, so the whole team can thrive.
And what does that look like in practice? Well, it means we focus on strengths instead of constantly harping on weaknesses. It means decisions get made by the person who actually knows the most, not just the person with the fanciest title. It means creating a space where people feel psychologically safe enough to be themselves, spikes and all. It means being flexible in how work gets done. When we build our organizations this way, we're not just accommodating spiky profiles. We are actively unleashing their genius.
So it leaves us with this question. Now that you can see the spikes, now that you understand them, how are you going to help them shine? Because this is how we build a better future. It's by finally realizing that these jagged, uneven, profoundly unique profiles all around us aren't a problem we need to solve. They are our single greatest asset. They're the source of our innovation, our creativity, and our collective strength.